that bloody racket?
Oh, I took a ride in a garbage truck. Hey, yeah, we do the better than we were well, that's just got to say, yeah, it's riding, you know it's true. Hey, yeah.
Did you bloody hear me? You are doing my nutting. I was this close to laying down a completely killer track, and you...
Are you Angus Scattergood?
No, I'm his gardener.
Oh my gosh, I'm actually meeting Angus Scattergood's gardener. This is sorry.
Let go of me, you stupid mutt.
Sorry. Could you give Mr. Scattergood a message from me?
Oh, I'll give him a message, all right. I will tell Mr. Scattergood all about you, but he will never, ever be your music teacher. You gotta be sure about that, because you
Mr. Gardner
are an idiot, and you make all this noise. Oh, the gates are closing.
Quiet on the set!
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the February 21st, 2017 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. This week's birthdays include Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things, David Massouz from Gotham, comedian Trevor Noah, Anthony Stewart Head from Buffy and Merlin, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones, Anthony Daniels, C-3PO from Star Wars, Edge of Tomorrow's Emily Blunt, wrestler Ric Flair, Edward James Olmos from Battlestar Galactica, Miami Vice, and Blade Runner, and finally, Sidney Poitier, who is now 90. Congratulations, sir. Starting with the box office report, it was a bad holiday weekend for new releases. At number 10 is new release A Cure for Wellness, picking up $4.4 million over 3 days and $5 million over the 4-day holiday weekend. With a C-plus cinema score and a 39% critical reception, this tonic is dead in the water. At number 9 is La La Land, down 1 from 8th. At 8 is A Dog's Purpose, down 2 from 6th. In 7th is Split, down 3 from 4th. And finishing off this week's bottom 5 is Hidden Figures, down 1 from 5th. The top 5 this week begin with new release Fist Fight, punching up $12.2 million over 3 days and $14.5 million over 4. Audiences were only mildly impressed, with a B cinema score, and critics were far from enthused, with a 32% reception. In 4th place is John Wick Chapter 2, down 1 from 3rd with $16.2 million and a total of $58.4 million. In 3rd place is the final new release this week, The Great Wall, earning $18.5 million over 3 days and $21.7 million over 4. So with a budget of $150 million, one might be tempted to say that The Great Wall is a great bomb. But the other half of this story is that it was designed with multinational appeal and support. In that light, it's a success, with a $262.7 million cumulative worldwide. That said, continued appeal will help pay the bills going forward and help Legendary break out of their recent doldrums. Opening night audiences gave it a B, and critics offered up a 35%, so word of mouth may not help achieve those goals. The top 2 this week are right where we left them last week. In 2nd is 50 Shades Darker, picking up $20.4 million for a total of $89 million. And in 1st place is the Lego Batman movie, earning $33 million for a total of $97.6 million. Let's close out the box office report with a look at what was winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2012, Act of Valor took number 1 with $24.5 million. 10 years ago in 2007, Ghost Rider won the weekend for a second week with $20.1 million. 20 years ago in 1997, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back Special Edition was the winner with $22 million. 30 years ago in 1987, Platoon took the title for a 4th and final week with $8.2 million. And 40 years ago, in 1977, Rocky took the box office crown for a 6th time in 12 weeks with $3.3 million. In an odd move, the box office premieres for February 24th start with Selena Gomez and The Scene, No, wait, that's my fault. I'm thinking of the single Rock God. This week's headliner is Rock Dog, an animated comedy starring Luke Wilson, Eddie Izzard, and J.K. Simmons.
Bodhi?
Oh, hey, Dharma.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I've just been, hanging out with Mr. Scattergood.
Whoa, sorry. Back up. You've been hanging with rock legend Angus Scattergood?
Yep.
Right on. Hanging with Angus.
He was not hanging.
Angus with Angus.
Really? We've been together all day. Let's see, we went jogging, then we had some pizza.
Right.
Then we came here to the park because, he needs a little money for a cab.
Of course. Yeah.
He's right over there. You guys want to meet him?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, that's a great idea. Let's all just go meet Angus.
Sweet, we're meeting Angus.
Don't get your hopes up.
When a radio falls from the sky into the hands of a wide-eyed Tibetan Mastiff, he leaves his home to fulfill his dreams of becoming a musician, setting into motion a series of completely unexpected events. Rock Dog is rated PG. The second title is Collide, an action thriller starring Nicholas Hoult, Felicity Jones, and Anthony Hopkins.
You want to make more?
Yeah.
I need someone like you, Burt Reynolds. A nobody, but smart, and someone like you, Grease Lightning. A nobody, but crazy. It's chance to step up.
What is it?
Special job. Lot of money. You in?
Yeah, we're in.
Hang on, wait, no. What is it? Is it dangerous?
What kind of question is that? Of course it's dangerous. You want safe job? Work in IKEA. Don't question me. If you don't want it, I don't care. You want to run around collecting money for me till you get knife? That's up to you. I can replace you like that.
An American backpacker gets involved with a ring of drug smugglers as their driver, though he winds up on the run from his employers across Cologne's high-speed Autobahn. Collide is rated PG-13. And the third wide release is Get Out, a comedic mystery thriller starring Daniel Kaluuya, Allison Williams, and Bradley Whitford.
So how long has this been going on, this thing? How long?
4 months.
4 months.
5 months, actually.
She's right. I'm wrong.
Attaboy. Better get used to saying that.
Please, I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. She's right. I'm wrong. See?
Does he have an off button? This is exhausting.
I know, and I want to give you a tour.
Can you, unpack first?
You want to unpack? Before the tour?
A young African-American man visits his Caucasian girlfriend's mysterious family estate. Get Out is rated R. There are also 3 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up to look at the home entertainment slate for the week of February 21st, and it is a short one. I'll start with new release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list begins with Hacksaw Ridge, a war drama starring Andrew Garfield, Teresa Palmer, and Hugo Weaving. World War II American Army medic Desmond T. Doss, who served during the Battle of Okinawa, refuses to kill people and becomes the first conscientious objector in American history to be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. Hacksaw Ridge is rated R. The second title is Manchester by the Sea, a drama starring Casey Affleck, Michelle Williams, and Kyle Chandler. An uncle is forced to take care of his teenage nephew after the boy's father dies. Manchester by the Sea is rated R. And the third title is Bad Santa 2, a comedy starring Billy Bob Thornton, Christina Hendricks, and Kathy Bates. Fueled by cheap whiskey, greed, and hatred, Willie teams up once again with his angry little sidekick Marcus to knock off a Chicago charity on Christmas Eve. Bad Santa 2 is rated R. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have 2 titles for you. The first is Moana, an animated fantasy film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Alan Tudyk, and Ali'i Carvalho. The main character is Moana Wailiki, a sea voyaging enthusiast and the only daughter of a chief in a long line of navigators. When her family needs her help, she sets off on an epic journey. The film will also include demigods and spirits taken from real mythology. For a review of Moana, check out the Quick Flicks from our December 6, 2016 edition, where Denise was very, very happy about this title. Moana is rated PG. The other digital title this week is Jackie, a historical drama starring Natalie Portman, Peter Sarsgaard, and Greta Gerwig. Following the assassination of her husband, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy fights through grief and trauma to regain her faith, console her children, and define her husband's historic legacy. Jackie is rated R. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, we start things there with Doctor Who, The Return of Doctor Mysterio. The 2016 Christmas special starring Peter Capaldi, Matt Lucas, and Charity Wakefield. In Doctor Who, The Return of Doctor Mysterio, join the 12th Doctor, played by Peter Capaldi, as he teams up with an investigative journalist played by Charity Wakefield and a superhero to save New York from a deadly alien threat. The other TV title this week is Grace and Frankie, Season 2 from 2016, starring Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Sam Waterston. Finding out that their husbands are not just work partners, but have also been romantically involved for the last 20 years. Two women with an already strained relationship try to cope with the circumstances together. They've been through a lot together. An odd couple, Grace and Frankie, have bonded, but they still drive each other crazy on a regular basis. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate. I told you at the top it was a short one, with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you one title. That's King Solomon's Mines, an action comedy from 1985 starring Richard Chamberlain, Sharon Stone, and John Rhys Davies. Fortune hunter Alan Quatermain teams up with a resourceful woman to help her find her missing father, lost in the wilds of 1900s Africa while being pursued by hostile tribes and a rival German explorer. King Solomon's Mines is rated PG-13. After this brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will continue.
How to continue a television series after a major actor has left the cast. Part 1.
The Quatermass Method.
Simply recast a new actor in the original role. Hope that no one notices that a familiar character now looks completely different. This was also famously used in the James Bond films.
For more about British science fiction television, listen to the British Invaders podcast at www.britishinvaders.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. First up on Quick Flicks, director James Gunn explains Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2's primary story. Let's all admit it, we're excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We've been excited from the moment the credits started rolling on Volume 1 and Volume 2 was announced. And while we learned a lot over the past year, there's still plenty shrouded in mystery and secrecy. Even as we keep seeing Baby Groot and his adorable psychotic tendencies, James Gunn has teased not all of what has made it into the trailers will be seen in the final cut. And while we don't yet know the full plot of the sequel or what its many villains will be up to, Gunn was happy to lay out what he thinks is the main story of Volume 2. He said in the featurette attached to the Doctor Strange release, "I think the primary story is really about learning that thing that we think we want, that we're going to get outside of ourselves and outside of these relationships that we have, has been there all along. I think we can also agree that Hollywood is good at being vague as hell." In crowdfunding news, Hook's Rufio actor is leading the Hook prequel Kickstarter Bangarang. Back in 1991, Steven Spielberg released Hook, the sequel to Peter Pan. Hook told the story of an adult Peter Pan who is more concerned with his job than his family or having fun, and who had long ago forgotten all about Neverland. But after Captain Hook kidnaps his 2 children, Peter has to return to the island that was once his home and remember how to play and use his imagination so that he can defeat the pirates and bring his kids home. It was one of the best Robin Williams films of my childhood. It also starred Dante Basco as Rufio, the new leader of Peter's Lost Boys. Hook was only Basco's 3rd film, and despite a constant stream of television and film roles, Rufio remains his most famous and iconic role. It was a great flick. You should watch it. A Kickstarter campaign has been launched for Bangarang, a short film about Rufio before Hook, which lists Basco as executive producer. The synopsis. This is the story about Rufio, before the Mohawk, before Neverland, before he was the Pan. Rufus is a 13-year-old kid who is destined to be more than he is. After his mother is forced to put him into a foster home, he and his ragtag group of best friends, a Jamaican boy named Giuliani, and a bright-eyed Latina force of nature named Ella, find a way for Rufus to escape his ill fate, find his happy thought, and fulfill his destiny. The story has been reverse engineered from what was set up in Hook. We answer all the questions you've ever wondered. How and why is Rufio the leader of the Lost Boys? Where does Bangarang come from? And of course, how he gets the Mohawk. Anyone who has read Peter Pan knows there were 5 Lost Boys besides Peter, but Hook had many more, lending credence to the idea that more kids showed up in Neverland after the darling children left. Without Peter as their leader, they turned to Rufio, who was a very angry teenager and very much a product of his time. Rufio refused to give leadership back to Peter, but once the titular hero remembered how to fly, crow, and fight, Rufio turned over the role. Rufio's story is one of the more prominent and heartbreaking of the film, yet no explanation was ever given for how he and the other boys got into Neverland. According to the book, the Lost Boys were children who fell out of their carriages and were never seen by their family again. But as Rufio was a young teenager, clearly there is more that happened to him before he got into Neverland. And that is what the prequel promises to explain. The Kickstarter goal is $30,000, and after 4 days and 92 backers, they are just over a sixth of the way there, with 26 or so days left to go. According to the Kickstarter page, the movie is expected to release in April of 2017. You can help support the film by going to Kickstarter page and making a donation. In small screen news, Bryan Cranston would return as Walter White for Better Call Saul. I never got into either show. I really didn't. It never really interested me, but I've heard they're both great. I've also heard from various family members who love Breaking Bad and are in love with Better Call Saul that the latter is tying itself more and more into its predecessor. Stand on its own, Better Call Saul, now in its 3rd season, does, but that hasn't stopped the series from linking itself to Breaking Bad in narratively important ways. Season 3 is bringing on Giancarlo Esposito, and I probably screwed that name up, to reprise the role of Drug Kingpin Gus Fring. It's also been hinted by Aaron Paul that he may have already filmed an appearance as Jesse Pinkman, and now Paul's presumed appearances raises questions as to whether the series would ever invite Walter White himself. Speaking with Moviefone about his animated series Supermansion, Cranston addressed the notion of revisiting his most famous character. He said, "I don't know. You could. I actually think it'd be fun. I have not been approached by it. I know that Vince Gilligan wouldn't do anything that would damage the overall brand that he's worked so hard to develop on, a stunt cast kind of thing. Then I think, well, what if it's just a brush by? If it's just 2 guys in a market, are those ripe? I don't know. We don't even register that we knew each other 3 years before we see each other again. That's life. It's actually very honest. It happens. So the bottom line is, I would do it in a second if Vince wanted me to be on the show. I'd be on the show." Can a Walter White cameo be far behind? Would it be fan service? Would it add to the plot or just present itself as because we can device? You'll have to tell me, because on this one I just report the news. I don't actually watch it. And finally, The Kitchen comic book movie finds its director. Vertigo Comics' The Kitchen takes place in Hell's Kitchen in the 1970s. When the FBI does a sweep and arrests a number of prominent mobsters, it's up to their wives to take over the business. And they do. Because yes, New Line found a writer to pen the script, and now the next step has been taken with the announcement of a director for the film. THR revealed that Andrea Berloff has been chosen to direct the project, a debut for her. She's also writing the script. Rather, it's a debut directorial for her. She's been in the movie business for quite a while. Anyway, she is also writing the script, putting her firmly in charge of the project from behind the camera. She talked about how excited she was for the opportunity. She said, "I am beyond thrilled to have the opportunity to direct a film that is fiercely, unapologetically female-driven. Having started my career as an assistant to Ava and Bob Shea, embarking on this journey with New Line is truly a surreal dream. Female mobster movie? Yes, please. And finally, do yourself a favor and go see the Lego Batman movie. Will Arnett is both the Batman we need right now and the Batman we have always deserved." And that's it for me this week. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And once again, here we are at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to the brand new homepage at chronicgriff.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone, or you can write to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com. Of course, you can still tweet us on Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith. And I am Womprat99, like the creature Liquid Bullseye in his T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook and Google+. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. We have Cyborgs, a Bionic podcast, the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, present the transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can also find us there on the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s, when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who for the first time from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing those stories in the Timestamps Project. Right now, the blog is kicking off the 17th season with the adventures of the 4th Doctor and the Time Lady Romana, and those reviews can be found at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as a cover designer. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets in the network store in the show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you at the theater.
That's a wrap!